Hello and welcome to the webinar, Three Lies and One Life-Changing Truth That No One's Talking About. I'm Linda Albright, and I'm here with my co-host, Michael Erkinen. And we are so thrilled because we want you to strap in for this ride we are going to take you on today. We're going to share with you what we know to be a missing piece in your business and in your life that can honestly make all the difference. Because you, me, all of us have an inner wiring, and it's like an owner's manual, and it's right under your nose. And so we're going to introduce this little known modality and show you how to unleash it so you can create more of what you want. So for entrepreneurs, that means, crafting sales and marketing strategies that are more attuned to who you are. That's going to bring more results, more satisfaction, peace of mind, and happiness and fulfillment. So you might be like us, where you've been working really hard, studying really hard for years and years and years to try and create the business you know you're capable of creating. And so congratulations for being here, because you're about to find out the missing ingredient, as you've known from all of the promotions we've been doing. Because here's the thing that's hard to realize when you're in the throes of entrepreneurial trenches and whatnot, is that you're actually poised to take off. Like your life, your business, it's poised to take off. You just don't know it because you haven't had this missing ingredient, and succeeding is actually easier than failing once you have the right tools. So today our goal is that you have some ahas. We intend for things to really resonate with you on a profound, intuitive level. You're going to be nodding your head in agreement. This is going to be under an hour. We're going to go fast paced. We're also going to give you some practical tips you can take away. So
we're going to get a little momentum as we get going, and some of the information is going to be a little dense. A lot's going to come at you. So why don't you turn off distractions, phone, social media, buckle in for this ride. Linda's going to do most of the talking. She likes to do that. I like her to do that. I'll chime in once in a while when she lets me, and do a few teaching pieces, or if I just get bored.
Actually, we're a living, breathing example of what living your design and living by your unique coding is. We won't get too far into that in this training, but just know that once you discover it, things flow so much more easily. All right. Anyway, who are we, first of all, and what qualifies us to teach this stuff? Going to give you a quick overview of my background. Mike will do his before we jump in. So, as many of you know, I've been a coach for almost 2 decades, and I followed the typical coaching model in my early career, where you can see a picture of me doing speaking engagements, networking. You know how this works. And then I started going online and doing teleseminars, but that was back before webinars were even existing. Teleseminars, telesummits, all sorts of online video things, and this was great. This worked well. I grew the business over 6 figures, then I hit multiple 6 figures. It worked quite well. Then in the coaching model, any of you that are coaches, what you then do is you do this super cool thing called taking it on the road, and you start to do your own live events. And this was great because I love working with the people. I love, face-to-face, because when you're building your business from behind a computer, it gets a little old. And so I did what I was told, and I did not 1, not 2, not 3, but I did 4 events in about 18 months. I was on fire, and it looks like it was great, right? Except this is where things started to break down for me. I remember calling my mentor in tears after my biggest event I'd ever had, about 150 people in the room. And I'm in the car driving home, sobbing. I was depressed. I was despondent, which sounds very intense, but I was, because I could not figure out why I simply could not sell from the stage. What I mean by that is you've probably been to these events where the speaker is razzle dazzle all day long, and then there becomes a point where she makes an offer for a program, and everybody runs to the back of the room, right? They just clamor over themselves to sign up. And I just failed at that over and over and over again. And what made it even harder was, any of you have comparanoia, where you're comparing yourself to your colleagues or your mentors? And so I knew that my colleagues did 2 or 3 times the amount of sales that I ever did. And talk about humiliating. Talk about, that's what happened when I actually tried to sell from the stage. So the tough part about that is not just the money. Of course, running a successful business, I have people to pay and bills to pay. So the loss of income was not fun, but worse is humiliation. Maybe people didn't realize how humiliating it was for me, but it just was. But it's more like loss of confidence. And is this really what I'm supposed to do? Do I just go get a job? Like, what am I doing? And I actually have 4 people I'm responsible for. So this is not a hobby for me. So it was really, really tough. So I did some deep soul searching. And I actually pulled the plug on my business a little over a year ago. I said, that's enough. I have got to figure out what is wrong. I've got to figure out why this isn't working. And I canceled launches, events, appearances. I served existing clients. I just took on a couple new ones as they came along. And I just took the year to figure out what is going on. And here, a year later, a little over a year later, we have uncovered what was missing in my business. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be missing in yours. And now I know why I failed. It's something my mentor couldn't even figure out. The model I had been taught didn't work for me because it's not in alignment with who I am. I can't sell from the stage. It's not in my design. So that was my journey. Let's hear about Michael's.
I've got a similar story, similar in some ways. I started out as a management consultant, worked at that for about 15 years. And then the next 15 years, I ran my own architectural design firm. My biggest problem was I sort of a boom and bust, feast or famine cycle. I would have great years. I'd have a lot of business. I'd get a lot done. I'd feel good about the work. I'd have incredible health. And then the next year or the next 2 years, it would just drop off. And for seemingly no reason, the bottom would drop out of the business, of my company, of my own health. I'd get burnout and frustrated and bitter. And I remember one time I'm in a like an Indianapolis airport for the weekend because there was a snowstorm and I just wanted to get home to my family. You know, I had young kids at the time and I wanted to be home with them. And instead I'm flying all over the place to work and I'm stuck in this dreary airport. And it's just like, why does this have to be so hard? It was a real low point for me. So Lynn and I have both been in the trenches as self-employed people. And we also have, along with our business models and development, we have some spiritual models that we've been following for a long time. We've been looking for answers in the spiritual or the metaphysical realm with Avatar, Center for Spiritual Living, Landmark, Kripalu, Sterling, the Mama Gina School. We've been chasing this around for a long time, learning some great things, but never having the success or the satisfaction that we really knew was possible until we got this ingredient that we're going to share with you.
Amen. And so, since we found what we're calling the missing ingredient, the missing link, we work less than we ever have. We have a lot more fun. It's not easy. It's just not easy street, but it's easier than what we had been doing. You still got to do the business activity, but if you come from in a place of alignment, it flows. It's so much more satisfying and it's so much more successful. And we've created a sustainable business, which never seemed to be within our reach. So here's the thing. We did this the really hard way, and you get to have the Cliff Notes. And I'm thrilled about that. Like, no kidding. Those of you who know me know that I'm so passionate about helping entrepreneurs like you make more money, because when you make more money, the world improves, right? And imagine what will happen if you are able to just tweak 1 or 2 things to make it just a little bit easier. So maybe you could get off that hamster wheel, right? More money, more time to play, bigger impact. What would change for you if you could just sort of release that pressure valve and actually have things come to you and flow to you more easily? What would change? So, take a breath. By the end of today, and this, like I said, will be under an hour, you're going to know what to do to make this possible for yourself. Now, results vary, as you can imagine, but what we can promise is that you're going to glean at least 1 or 2 things that you can apply right away. And you never know. I've had clients have talked to me for 1 session, and then shazam, I get the email with the subject line that says, I booked a 10K client today. So you just never know. Okay. So what is the missing piece that gives you those superpowers, right? Those superpowers. So let's start with a little context that you can relate to, because these ideas can actually be really dense, and our goal is to simplify them so that they're understandable and that they're useful. So as humans, we each have a unique design, And we have what we need inside of us to create what we desire. And there are no two identical designs. It's like we're snowflakes, fingerprints. And so imitating somebody else might sound like a good idea, but the truth is it's not going to work unless the person you're working with has an identical design to you, and we don't. So a silly example that Michael came up with is that it's like a fish who's learning how to travel by studying a bear, or a bear who's studying an eagle, or an eagle who's studying a fish. You get this? So like the bear, the fish, the eagle, they're all really masterful at moving through time and space in their own unique way, but their methods aren't going to work, for each other. And so humans are the same. We have an ideal way for us to move and engage in the world, and we're never going to reach our potential in any area, love, relationships, money, business, if you're not following your design, if we're not following our unique design. So because your design has inherent methods and ways to engage with other people, with the world in a satisfying, not a let me club them over the head kind of way. Your inner blueprint contains the most effective means for you to communicate and to market yourself. It also helps you make decisions. You know how many decisions as an entrepreneur you're faced with every day? I did research, like something like 85,000 decisions a day, like no kidding. So what would it be like if you had an inner tool that helped you choose things more easily? And we've also found that until we started learning about our own design, and by the way, this modality that we're introducing to you, it's actually called human design. So for us, nothing worked long-term. It was like, it would work for a little while and then it would underperform, or the results would be haphazard, or we'd get the wrong clients in the door, or we'd have trouble communicating with each other, or we'd be up and down with each other. And it's just like inconsistency, right? And now what we realize is that we were using, like, say, a bear strategy when maybe a fish strategy would have been the one that was called for. But how are we supposed to know? Nobody had told us this stuff. And when we did have success, like if we happened to strike upon something that was good for a while, it just, like I said, it didn't feel repeatable. So this modality called human design, it's a study, a practice, and an owner's manual for your life and for your business, hands down. So I just want to step to the side for a second, because I want you to recognize how cutting edge you are and how innovative what we're talking about today is. Personally, I've always been an early adopter evangelist. What that means is that I find something revolutionary, transformational. I see it coming down the pike, and then I'm so passionate. I put everything I can behind bringing it to the masses. And I've done this 4 times in my 20-year entrepreneurial journey. Back in '99, I helped raise a few $1 million to get a .com off the ground, and no one had heard of .coms before. I then jumped on the internet bandwagon, and this was long before the word webinar even existed, and it was just teleseminars back then, if you can believe that one. I then quickly moved into blending spirituality and business together back when those two things should not coexist in the same room. And now it's amazing to see that mega corporations are teaching things like mindfulness to their employees. It's beautiful. And today we're bringing the modality called human design to you, the visionaries and innovators of the world, because we want you to take it, run with it, and create outrageous results. So I'm going to guess that this is your first time hearing about human design because, quite frankly, it's dense, it's academic. I find it at times very difficult to understand. It's like an endless rabbit hole you just get lost in. And this is why we think it's not more commonly known. However, I would put money on it that in 18 months, 2 years, it's going to be on every street corner because it's brilliant. But what it needs in order to survive and to make a difference in your life and in the marketplace is you need practical entrepreneurs like Michael and myself to bring it to the masses, to bring it to the collective, to bring it to the people who can use it. So what we're going to do today is take something very arcane and give you a rare, applied, and proven entrepreneurial viewpoint of human design that'll save you time and money and get the results you deserve. And we've been testing it ourselves for a good year plus, and testing with our clients as well, and the results have been outstanding. All right. Moving on. So what human design has shown us is the mistakes and the inadequacies in the marketplace. I mean, basically, folks, we've been building our businesses backwards, but nobody seems to notice this. And everything we've been following, it's like common sense. I say in quotes, it's like, well, of course you do things this way. Now, understand, these common sense suggestions are not visited upon us by bad people. It's honestly, it's like ignorance and the herd mentality. It's like when everybody believed the world was flat and then whoopsie, guess what? It's actually round. Joke's on you. And that is what we see right now, that common marketplace beliefs are so archaic and so outmoded. It's stunning that everybody's still following it. So we're here to break the trance. Yes, we are. We've been under a spell. And so we want to take a look at some backwards thinking and set you forward. So the first lie, we call it, is imitate the experts. Imitate the experts. I'm so well versed in this. When was the last time you thought or believed the following about this? If I just imitate what my mentor, my expert is doing, then I'll be successful. So if I just follow successful people, I mean, Tony Robbins will say that. All the leaders will say that. Just if you want to be successful, do what they do. Human design says maybe, but make sure you check in with your design first. Next, follow the rules. How many of you are good rule followers like me? I'm such a good student. I dot I's and cross T's. And I know that if I just follow the rules, everything's going to work out. Not so much. And then this is a trap. If I just learn a little bit more about fill in the blank, social media, email marketing, networking, whatever it is, if I just learn a little bit more, then I'll be satisfied, then I'll be successful. So where in your business specifically is this showing up for you? Is it in the way that you're marketing your business? Are you trying to follow some guru's advice and you're just not getting traction? Is it in sales? It's a lot of great, well-meaning sales professionals out there who want to tell you how to do it, but is it not able to map it to you? Things like trying to figure out what to charge in your business. There's rules and systems. And listen, I've taught these, and a lot of rules and systems are good, but if you're not mapping it to your design, then it could be working against you. All right. So do you remember the bear fish analogy we did before? So basically what works for your guru probably won't work for you because you're not them, right? Your wiring is different. It makes no sense to take advice without filtering it. Here's a saying for you. They say imitation's a form of flattery, but honey, it's time to get your own ideas. I would replace that with it's time to understand your design. Because once you give that up, that someone else has answers more than you, then your world is going to shift and you're not going to feel awkward. You're going to feel playful and get great opportunities attracted to you. Okay. I am going to turn it over to Michael, and I know he has a story about when he tried to imitate some experts, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So I'm, as a designer of buildings, I have a family member who also did similar work to me. The difference was my family member, John, had very consistent success, made a lot of money and made it consistently and didn't experience the ups and downs that I did. And so what I decided to do, or actually my ex-wife prompted me very rigorously to do this, was to imitate John. You know, John's making money consistently. His business is consistent. He has, has had the same people. He's hired the same people and kept them working for X amount of years. Why don't you do what he does? And so I tried that. I mean, I diligently did try to do that. And the more I tried to do that, the worse it got. The more the ups and downs, the more the inconsistency, the more I obviously wasn't connecting. So trying to imitate John just didn't work for me. So what we're going to do is dig into this a little bit about some of our basic types, or an overview of a very general overview of some of our basic types. So a lot of you took the hidden code quiz and got some preliminary results. We're going to confirm those results later in our program or in our assessment calls. But feel into those results a little bit, or take a look at them, because it's a good starting place. Just having some information about who you are, who I am specifically, and not generically, is, step one.
Yeah, exactly. And as we said, the quiz was a way to get started. We want to confirm your results later through an assessment. So don't get too hung up on that, but let this sink in, taste it, sip it, breathe it. And also, if you want, think about other people in your life, because this stuff is wild. I mean, Michael and I would not be together if it wasn't for human design, because there was no way I was going to ever figure out how he worked, and vice versa. So this stuff is really powerful. So anyway, okay, so I'm going to jump in and mention the first type, because it's the type that I am. It's called a creator or a generator. And here we see our lovely Meryl Streep, who is one. And as you can see from the slide, these are infinitely creative, energetic beings called Buddha beings, because we have enveloping auras, and we take everyone and everything in. We like to be authentic, and we deeply, deeply satisfied by work, by life purposey stuff. And we get a lot of respect for the energy we bring into a situation, whether it's a relationship or a job or any other kind of environment, with clients, or like I said, when I did my live events, the tribe, I just really love sort of enveloping them with my energy. And the strategy for a creator or a generator is generally, it's called to attract and respond. And we're going to say more about that a little bit later, but just kind of sip that. Like, to attract and respond is how we're to move through the world. Now, this type that I am, we make up about 70% of the population, so they say. And so we're everywhere. And that's kind of nice, because we're sort of the builders, creators of the world. And we just produce some good stuff in increasingly efficient ways, in a sort of loving, warm way. So that's all I'll say about that. I'm going to turn it over to Michael, because he's the next type, which is really different than what I just described. Go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. Sorry. I just forgot a slide.
Okay, go ahead.
Here's some famous people. I forgot to say that, in case you're curious. You can see them on the slide. All right. Sorry, Michael. Go ahead.
Thanks. My turn. About 20% of the population are guides or projectors, which I am one. And I'll just reiterate here, there's 164,000 variables in our human design. So the fact that we're only talking about 3 groups doesn't mean that once you understand your type, or one of these 3 types, mean you have it nailed. It means you've taken a good first step. So about 20% of the population. So see if this resonates with you if you are a guide or projector. Guides or projectors are bright, curious, energetically sensitive beings who are deeply interested in others. They have an attractive, penetrating aura that goes right into the core of people. Guides or projectors are here to learn, to interact, and to facilitate the doing of others, as opposed to doing themselves. They literally are guides. They're here to work with the energy that's in the world, in the environment, with other people, leading them, as opposed to being workhorses themselves. And a lot of guides or projectors get confused on this. I did most of my life, and this leads to a lot of problems. We're here to be recognized for our true gifts, to understand the nature of systems, and to guide and integrate the energy of the people around us.
Well, I was just going to jump in there. So Michael and I now partner, and to have a projector or a guide in my business is invaluable, because here's what you all do. You see systems and integrities that might be breached, not intentionally, but like holes, cracks that I can't see, because as a generator, I got my nose to the grindstone. And so the pairing, or just the gift of a projector, a guide, is immeasurable, honestly. I just had to jump in there and say that.
Thank you. So we're not designed to work using our own energy. Instead, we're here to surf and use and direct the energy of others. Our basic strategy is to get aligned with what we want, set strong intentions, observe our environments, and respond to invitations. So again, I'm just going to repeat that. So our main strategy for success, and this, don't worry if it's a little confusing. I mean, it's taken, over a year to really start to get the essence of this. And we've learned how to teach it pretty well in our programs. But intend, observe, and wait to be invited. So guides, more than anything, need to be seen for who they really are. Like creators, most guides are taught early on to initiate based on ambitious mental agendas, which we're going to get more into that later, but that's not a strategy for success. Initiating based on a mental agenda is where we get hung up a lot. We end up working harder than anyone else. We end up not being understood. We end up feeling exhausted, invisible, or deeply bitter. Some famous projectors are Nelson Mandela, Mick Jagger, Woody Allen, Barbra Streisand, Shirley MacLaine, Brad Pitt, John Kennedy, Marilyn Monroe, Hugh Hefner. Let me talk to you a bit about pioneers or manifestors. So our next type of these main three types are pioneers or manifestors, who are freedom-loving, potently energetic, rare warrior beings. These are leaders. These are leaders that want to be really left to run, not bothered, not held back by people who aren't pioneers. They have powerful, self-contained, provocative auras that either repel people or let them in selectively. They're the only type that's actually made to initiate. So a lot of the sales strategies that you hear, go get it, just do it, etc., those are actually good strategies for them quite often. There again, projectors and manifestors are only 8% of our population. So they've historically been world leaders, and they tend to be strong leaders. However, the top-down leadership, the 50s leader of top-down strong person at the helm, is starting to be replaced by different types of more collaborative leaderships. Adult pioneers are not here to be told what to do or ask permission. They don't feel good when they feel hampered and overly monitored by other people. They tend to get repressed or get angry. And their strategy is to inform and initiate. So to take that forward ahead initiating strategy, but to actually go against what's not natural for them, which is to bring the other people along with them, to not just go their own way, but to inform the people around them. So a few famous pioneers are Johnny Depp, Edgar Hoover, Krishnamurti, Jerry Seinfeld, Susan Sarandon, Jack Nicholson, Robert De Niro.
So that's cool, right? So that's just a taste. Very basic introduction to human design, and following the strategy outlined for your type will produce results. And actually, if that's all you did for the rest of your life was take one piece and try and integrate that in your world, things would shift. But the more you adapt and integrate, the more powerful the results in your life. So we're going to keep moving because there's a lot to cover. And that's part of the challenge in teaching this stuff, quite frankly. I mean, as I said before, you can go down a rabbit hole. It's erudite, it's dense, it's complex. We're trying to just give you the piece that's going to make a difference. We go more into this, as Michael said, in the Elite Entrepreneur Program that we have. But let's move to the second lie. You ready for this? This is a great one. Just do it, and do it hard. And Nike says it, and your mother says it, and your teacher, and maybe your business coach says it. Even our beloved Tony Robbins says it. And if you can't just do it, or just doing it isn't working for you, then just do it harder. Just do more of whatever it is. So I want to ask you, how's that working? For 90% of you, when you push, when you just do it, when you go out and you make that happen, you're actually pushing your good away. You're actually repelling what you're looking to attract. So stop for a minute. Feel into this idea. I did say 90% are following the wrong marketing strategy. 90% of you are following the wrong communication strategy, sales strategy, because we're pushing. We're just doing it because that's what we're taught. But haven't the most rewarding results in your life, business or personal, come from not pushing? Have they not come from a more relaxed, allowing position? And so we hear a lot about this in spiritual circles, the law of attraction and be in flow. And that is all true. And it's true because your human design requires it. If you're actually going to live your design, it requires it. So where in your business or your life are things feeling hard? I always feel like that's a good red flag litmus test for me, is if they're feeling hard, it means I'm pushing too much. It means I've fallen off the track. So here's the thing. We're talking about flow and not pushing and not repelling, but rather attracting and responding and all that. And I'm here to tell you, your mind is going to just be so in revolt. It is going to resist this information like nobody's business, because the mind thinks it's in charge. And it has been in charge for most of us up until recently, perhaps. We're trying to give it its proper passenger seat instead of the driver's seat. And it makes no sense to the mind because it's not what you're taught. So I'm just here to share with you that if you're feeling resistance to anything we're saying now, it's okay. It's normal. We would expect it. But here's the thing. Personally, I can't just do it anymore. Seriously, I don't just do it anymore. What you want to do is do it right. You just want to do it in the right, aligned way. So I've been blessed with many amazing clients, but one of them, Jane, was like the Energizer Bunny, like a lot of you are. A lot of us are type A's, and I'm not telling you not to be type A if you're ambitious, but we're talking about having a different strategy to achieve what you want to achieve. So Jane showed up, and like many women I work with, she was exhausted, overworked, super, super busy. She was successful, but she wasn't very happy because things just had gotten a little out of control. Like, she's really successful. When we looked at her design, what we discovered is that she's not supposed to work long hours. And I know that sounds crazy, especially when you're an entrepreneur. And truthfully, humans, most of us, are not meant to work the amount we are working. But some designs, like mine, can actually handle it better than some others. Once Jane learned to back off, and we tweaked one little thing in her sales approach, she not only had more fun, but get this, she actually had a record-breaking live event. And you guessed it, people ran to the back of the room to sign up for her programs. You go, girl. It was awesome because she was aligned with her inner coding and her inner wiring.
All right. So as an introverted projector or guide, sales and marketing to me is, I just don't want to go there. I've never been successful at it. I've tried a lot of different approaches, and I've listened to a lot of people, and I've read a lot of things, and mostly the experts that I've talked to or listened to or read their books basically have some message like, get out there, just do it harder, take a lot of action. If you want to have 10 sales, go out and talk to 100 people. So the common denominator to every message was more action, more action, more action. And what I found was the more action I took, the more dejected I got because I actually didn't have the sales. I just spent more time doing stuff I hated. So, and then I went back and talked to them, and they said, well, if the action you're taking, if you're doing all the action you can and it's not working, then you have to change some other things. So the first thing is you got to use more convincing language. And then if that doesn't work, you need to manipulate them psychologically so that they feel like they need your product. And if that doesn't work, just filibuster and browbeat them into submission. And I hated that. And that's not who I am, and it didn't feel right. And I felt like when people saw me that they'd change to the other side of the street, and I didn't like who I was trying to do that. And most importantly, I didn't have any results. And so now that we're studying how people are actually designed to have influence and to have opportunity, we're finding that, 90% of us aren't supposed to use this strategy. That's a strategy that might work for 5, 8, 10% of us, but 90% of us are going to end up, frustrated, dejected, and bitter. So it's not just me. It wasn't just me who was incompetent. So for instance, 70% of us are creator generators like Linda, and their most potent strategy is to attract and respond. So, where does cold calling fit into attract and respond? Well, it doesn't. It doesn't. It's not attracting or responding. It's cold calling. So, and what does that mean, to attract and respond? Well, as I watch Linda do it, and as we've worked with other generator creators to do that, the attracting part is there's a couple pieces to it. One is to get really tuned into the nuance of your own design and basically be who you are and and align your intentions and be doing the things that you enjoy doing. And then when a creator does that, their aura, their energetic presence is very warm and inviting. And when their energetic presence is warm and inviting, they get a lot of opportunities. They just come from everywhere. And I watch Linda do that. And the phone rings and people show up and emails, and she just gets invited to do all these things when she's actually the least busy and when she doesn't chase them at all. and then the responding part has to do with discernment. It's about tuning into the part in your body that's calibrated to make important decisions for you. And as I watch Linda do that, and I watch other clients do that, I see they have amazing success at discerning what are the right opportunities to play with, to engage with. And then when they do that, they have this overwhelming success and satisfaction. So 20% of us, thereabouts, and maybe 50% of entrepreneurs are guides or projectors. So as I've said, aggressive sales, marketing, networking strategies, they will fail for us. They'll fail bad. We're designed to fail when we aggressively chase things, and to fail wonderfully. So the most potent strategy I found for myself and other guides is intend, observe, and wait for invitations. So intending for me means, again, lining up with the nuances of my design. There's a lot of parts to my design. So there's like a dozen parts to my design that I really consciously line up with and make sure that I'm in alignment with and not working against. And then once I do that, and once other guides do that, we observe. So at that point, once you get lined up, then don't go chase things. Line up things, relax, do what you want. For me, interestingly enough, most of the business opportunities happen for me when I'm either on my sailboat, personal too. Linda met me when I was on my sailboat. So actually being at sea is one of my most potent marketing strategies, followed only by skiing. So it's like line up, intend, be in my most attractive aura myself. And for a projector especially, you don't even have to be in the room to attract the invitations that are good for you. And so once the invitations start coming, again, tune into the inner decision-making mechanism in order to choose the right invitations. Because if we choose the wrong invitations, we're not going to be recognized for who we are. We're going to be serving other people's agendas in a way that don't work for us. And what happens when we do that is that we get worn out, we get overwhelmed, we don't have a good time, and we don't experience success. The last thing I'll share about working this design, being a guide or being a projector, is my most potent strategy to date is to know when to shut up. Just keeping my mouth shut is such a potent thing. As guides or projectors, quite often we see things sooner than other types see them. We understand that when systems are about to fail, we see things coming down the road that aren't going to work. And a lot of times other people aren't ready to hear that yet. And if you are this type, I imagine this is going to resonate with you. How many times have you told someone something that was really important? They either reject you, they're not willing to hear it, they're apathetic. And then quite often a side bonus to that little thing is that, a month later, they'll come up with that idea as if they invented it and they'll get lauded for it. So anyway, so the thing to do is to wait to be invited, and then we have some power. So we're going to get much further into this either in our assessment call or in our program. Our programs, mostly what they deal with is going into depth and really tweaking your strategy to reflect your own design and have the most success and have the most satisfaction come from what you're doing.
Because I got to tell you, if there's anybody on this planet who deserves ease, it's you folks who are listening. I know what you're going through because you heard my story, our stories. So we're going to jump to the final piece in just a second. But as we put this talk together, realizing this is new information for most people, it's a totally 180-degree way to go about your business and your life. And it also could be a little, frustrating. Like, okay, but what's my design? Like, what's my code? Like, what's my unique sales and marketing approach? Can't you just tell me what mine is? And yes, we can. That's why we've created something called the Elite Entrepreneur Assessment that Michael just talked about, because all this is great in the head, but let's put the pedal to the metal. Let's get you what you need in terms of understanding your unique coding. So before I talk about what this actually is, I want to tell you who this is not for, just so you know. So if you're happy, honestly, like if you're happy with what's going on with the results in your business, in your life, you got a good mentor you trust, you're in a good rock solid program that's doing it for you. Awesome. I'm thrilled for you. Like, that's awesome. And you want to stay there, because human design, I can guarantee you, will probably have you do things you're not used to doing, and your mind is going to fight it. if it's anything like mine, Michael's, and everyone else I know who's undertaken this journey, but it is so worth it. But if you, like me and Michael, have been testing and trying and investing in programs that haven't quite panned out the way you thought, then this is perfect, because if you're responsible for the growth of your company, you're responsible for the bottom line. You don't receive a paycheck from anybody else. Then you're probably going to want to jump on this. And some of you on the call are not entrepreneurs, and that's fine. It's fine. This is phenomenal for relationships and even for your health. Like I said, Michael and I would not be together if it wasn't for human design. So it can really affect every single area of your life. Most people today are in business. That's great, but not everybody. So with that in mind, the Elite Entrepreneur Assessment. So it's called Elite Entrepreneur because guess what? You are one. Just by virtue that you showed up here today. Let's quickly go through this. This is a private one-on-one session with one of us. There's 3 of us on the team. We're going to do a high view, global view, in-depth private session with one of us. We're going to look at your business, what's working, what sales and marketing strategies are you using, and take a look at that. We will do a hidden code consultation. You're going to get the answers. The top level answers about your unique design. We have a way to discern that. We'll talk more about that privately, but we're absolutely going to provide that to you because that's the gold. You're going to walk away with 1 or 2 tips that are going to improve your sales and marketing strategy. Hands down. I am not the least bit worried that that's going to happen. We're going to talk about next steps. Listen, we've got a roadmap for you. No one else has it because it's your customized roadmap, and we have a way to discern and release that to you. So you will, probably want to take more information and more training around that. Not required, but we're going to talk about that. Benefits. You spend some time, we spend some time with you. We'll give you some ahas. You're going to get insights about your coding that you did not know. You're going to get affirmation also. A lot of you are going to just shake your heads like, yep, that's nice to know. I wasn't crazy after all. You're going to know what you did wrong and what to do instead. If you had to pay for this, this is what you'd be looking at. $750, like no kidding. Actually, that's on the low end. If any of my clients are on this, like, what? That's only what she's charging. You're going to get it for free. It's our gift to you. So passionate about getting this out there. So what are you supposed to do if you want this? Well, here we go. Let's see. There on your right, you should be seeing a way to apply. Essentially, you just click that button. Let's see if Linda can click the button. And there you go. Click to apply. You're going to get taken to a page. And on that page are some very specific questions. Please answer them thoroughly. We will review these. And if approved, the couple hundred people who signed up for this call, more than a couple hundred, signed up for this call. We can't meet with everybody. But if approved, book your time slot right away. Otherwise, we'll give it to the next person on the list. Okay? So that's what we've got for you there. If for some reason you can't see the link on your screen, thank you, Michael, for reminding me about this. Here's the URL, womenswealthrevolution.com. That's one word, womenswealthrevolution.com/application. Okay. So given that, let's keep moving. Let's do the final secret lie, whatever you want to call it, that we are being fed in the marketplace by well-meaning providers. Suck it up, Buttercup. Basically, to be successful, you got to put your you got to put your big girl panties on and do stuff you hate, like cold calling, like Michael said, writing that book. You know how many people have told me, you got to write a book. I don't want to write a book. You got to go be somebody. You got to gain significance. I don't want to have to chase significance. A lot of you can't stand selling. I don't mind selling, or speaking, like you're terrified of speaking. And yet in the tool bag that we're given when we check into the Entrepreneurial Academy, these are the activities we must do. When you do stuff you don't like, anybody guess what happens? It's like the just do it thing. You're pushing things away. Think about when you're around somebody. I think of myself as a mom. When my kids are around me and it's that bewitching hour and I have to cook dinner and I am just not happy because I am doing stuff I hate, and everyone in my family knows that cooking is not my forte or my favorite, and my energy is just negative. And honestly, sometimes they don't want to be around me and I don't blame them. So map that to your business. Anything in your business that you're doing that doesn't feel good, that you hate, is counterproductive. So where in your business right now do you feel like you've had to just kind of swallow things because someone told you you had to? Now, let me be clear. I'm not suggesting you slash everything on your to-do list that you don't like unless you have your design strategy in place. If you are aligned and you know what to do instead, you will be successful. If you just cease doing anything and you stare at your navel, that won't work either. I'm not suggesting that. But what I'd like to do is replace the stuff you hate with the stuff that's more aligned with you. And by looking at your coding, we can figure out what those are. Okay. Yeah, suck it up, Buttercup, right? So I'm just going to acknowledge this is a 180-degree switch of what we're told. Like I said, when we check into the academy, you got to do stuff you hate. And I know your mind could rail against this. Like, well, if I don't do this, how can I? Well, let me share a story with you of my own about how this has shown up for me. So I've tried so many things because I was told to, and I didn't like doing them, but I did them anyway. And of course, they didn't work, as you heard earlier. But two of the things I've recently tried is following Jeff Walker. Now, I love Jeff Walker. If you know him, he's a guru in online marketing. He's got a great system that works for a lot of people. To this day, I've tried and tried and tried, and I do not understand it, and therefore I do not like it, and therefore I do not do well with it. Works for everyone else, but it doesn't work for me. And the more I try, the angrier I get, which means like, yeah, that vibe out in the universe is not going to bring what I want. And then the other thing, a more recent thing, and I'm laughing because some of you on the call today, I have met through my private Facebook group, which you're all welcome to join. It's called Mind, Body, Spirit for Business. And this evolved last fall because my coach, who is in human design, has great success with Facebook groups. So I thought, I'm going to get on the Facebook bandwagon. Yeah. That's the way I'll build my tribe. Blah, blah, blah. And I was very excited to do it, except I didn't quite realize that in order to build a thriving Facebook community, you're supposed to post 5 times a day. 5 times a day on Facebook? I can barely post once a day sometimes, as most of you know. Sometimes I don't like being extroverted. I'm in an introverted mood that day. Or honestly, people, look what I've got, a zoo over here. I have 3 teenagers, an elderly father who's in dementia, a dog. I mean, it's just a zoo. So sometimes I just can't get to it. So I constantly feel pressure and I don't really enjoy it. And what, you think that's going to work for me? I think not. So I'm going to let Michael jump in here.
Thanks. Yeah, this final concept is pretty simple. If an action doesn't feel right, it's not right. It's that simple. If we actually, not thinking about it, but actually the feel to it, like a gut feel, if this doesn't feel good, you're doing the wrong thing. And so there's a caveat here, which is that we have to be in the mode of feeling things. So we have to have a little bit of access to our bodies, and we have to know when we actually feel something as opposed to thinking something. If we tend to numb ourselves with sugar, caffeine, overwork, an unnatural lifestyle, not enough sunshine, fresh air, whatever it is that keeps us alivened, then what's going to happen is our bodies are going to numb down and our minds are going to fill in the gap. And our minds are impressed by homogenized strategies that the experts offer. Makes me think of a billboard that was popular a while ago. And I think it was armed forces like the Marines or the Army or something. And there was a recruit doing push-ups and obviously straining and all sweaty. And there was like a sergeant leaning over him, yelling at him. And the caption on the bottom was, "Pain is weakness leaving the body." Now, I thought that was pretty cool. I mean, that's if that was actually true, that would be pretty cool, that every painful thing was actually me getting stronger. However, I actually don't believe that happens. I think it was a good recruiting poster and was neat, but I don't think it happens. I think that pain is actually the result of following the wrong path, that certainly chronic pain. So what we do with our programs, what we're really aiming to do with our programs, and I think we're doing a really good job with it, at least from our lives and the lives of our clients and the results we're seeing. And so that's to help people stay on a path that is paved with satisfaction, success, and peace of mind. And so that's, if we stay on that path, we notice that a lot of things go with that: business success and relationship success and good feelings. And that seems to be, an oversimplification of what we're doing. Our programs are all a little different, but they all seem to do this in one way or the other. So the ditches on either side of that path are, one is full of overwhelm and exhaustion. And the one on the other side of the path is full of frustration, bitterness, and anger. And so everything about our programs, about our coaching, about our offering is about keeping ourselves and our clients in the middle. There again, was satisfied, successful, and at peace. And so, thanks for hanging in there with us. This is really exciting work.
It really is. And so like your red flag as to whether you are proceeding with the right strategy in your marketing, your sales, your business is, how are you feeling? Are you feeling overwhelmed, anxious? Are you feeling bitter, resentful, like overall? And if you're not feeling that sense of peace, satisfaction, and success, then you've fallen off and away from your inner coding. And we've got to keep you back on the trail. It's a muscle we want to hone, we want to build. So let's wrap up. I see it's almost at the top of the hour. My, how time flies. First lie that we talked about, just to review: imitate the experts. I think we've talked about how nobody's code is the same. So take what the experts say and filter it through, but know what your code is. Secondly, just do it. No, don't just do it. Do it your way. Please find out your inner strategy, how to make decisions, how to proceed forward, and things will be much easier. Do stuff you hate. Suck it up, buttercup. If it doesn't feel good, quite frankly, it's not going to work. It's just not going to work. So much more to cover. We're out of time. We invite you for the Elite Entrepreneur Assessment. I think that button is still up there on the screen. Go ahead and apply. Like I said, hundreds of people signed up for this call. We can't meet with everybody, but we will try and squeeze as many of you in as we can. Fill out those questions thoroughly. The more information we have about what you're doing and what's working, the more helpful we can be. We get you on the path to success. All right. I think that's it, Michael. Is that it?
Absolutely.
That's a wrap. Yeah. So have a great day, everyone, and we will see you on the other side.